The topic of this service is doing less, and this morning as I had my coffee, it occurred to me that it would be hilarious if I just didn't do a sermon. But that's not the less that we're talking about. We're talking about being just aware of the human tendency, at least the modern Western tendency, to pack our lives with too much stuff. Too many things, physical things, but also ideas, thoughts, conflicts, obligations. It's a lot. And our question today is, how can we not? How can we stop? How can we do less? And I think it's kind of a radical proposition. I think of it most of all like merging on the highway. For those of you who drive, imagine that you're coming up on your exit and you have to get over into the right-hand lane. But there's another car there, driving the same speed as you. I have noticed that more often than not, people will speed up to pass them and get over. But you don't have much time. And if you do that, you close the distance between you and your exit faster than ever, and you wind up with less time and less space before you must exit this great highway upon which all of us travel. When we have finite time available to us, sometimes it's better to hit the brakes and slow down instead, and let the other car move on past you, to give yourself the most possible time and space to get over. Some of the muchness and hurriedness of our lives is, and I have to say this every single sermon, I'm sorry, it's a function of capitalism, which keeps all of us in an endless cycle of extracting value and then consuming stuff, extracting value from resources and labor, and then consuming what is created. And then when we can't do either or both, getting off the highway as quickly as possible because now we're just in the way. Ooh. Studies have shown that in traditional hunter-gatherer societies, people spend huge blocks of time every day doing nothing. Not resting deliberately, I mean doing nothing, just sitting there, looking around and waiting for something to happen and enjoying it and enjoying each other. And unfortunately, that's not really done in our society. There's not much space to do that. It's telling that when parents and caregivers get overwhelmed, a very common daydream is the wish to be just sick enough for a week-long stay at the hospital. I know, so that they can lay down and just have someone else bring them meals for just a little while. What desperation, what need for human care. Not to get too serious on New Year's Eve, maybe I shouldn't ask this. Have you ever wanted to just fake your own death and walk away into the woods and live a life of unbothered solitude among the trees? Oh good, me too. I had a second response lined up in case no one said yes. But I think what we really want to walk away from is capitalism. Again, just to underscore that point. I recently saw a meme that said, minimalism is a scam by Big Small to get you to buy more less. Let me say that again. Minimalism is a scam by Big Small to get you to buy more less. And I laughed, but it made me think. I don't think I know of any scams, including the overarching structure of our society, which does seem to be a scam, that involve tricking people into doing less of anything. It's always getting you to do something more. Every scam is a demand for more of our time and resources than we would freely otherwise give. So it occurred to me that we can opt out of so much aggravation and exploitation by simply sitting down and not doing anything, by refusing to participate. not shopping for new clothes or keeping up with new trends, not starting new hobbies, and I'm a big starter of hobbies and abandoning them, not accumulating all the materials you need to do those things. What if you just sat on your couch and did nothing, or picked up your old hobbies? Not signing up for newsletters. I'll say here that my inspiration for this topic is that every 6 months, for years now, on January 1st and July 1st, I unsubscribe from everything except my church's newsletter. Unsubscribe from everything. And anyone who works at a nonprofit or in fundraising is screaming on the inside right now. If you're at home, you might be screaming out loud. But the amount of digital clutter that builds up in our life and in our email inboxes is significant, and it's a significant drain on our mental and emotional resources, not to mention time. If you have more than 5 unread newsletters from the same organization, no matter how much you want to save those turtles, delete them now. Declare bankruptcy, email bankruptcy, and start over. They'll find you again. The Audubon Society always does. You can start over, really, and let go of guilt. I don't think that we as a society were ever meant to be reachable 24 hours a day. Like, as a species, I don't think that's okay. The turtles would go mad with distraction. Maybe we should be sending them newsletters about our welfare. I'm trying to be more protective of who and what gets access to my attention, which is not worthless. My children deserve my attention. The Children's Place, a business which will send you 18 emails a day about all of their ongoing sales, does not deserve my attention. One of our Unitarian forebears, Henry David Thoreau, famously built himself a one-room cabin in the woods by a pond, Walden, you may have heard of it, in 1845, as an experiment in simple living and limiting the demands on his attention. Now, it was only 1.5 miles from his mom's house, so he wasn't that hard to get a hold of, but just far enough that people had to put on their shoes to come over, which was enough. A lot has been said in recent years about how Thoreau was not self-reliant, right? His mom still did his laundry. He did not have children to support. All of that is true. But the fact remains that he gave up almost all of his stuff, his material possessions, to go sit by a pond and watch the owls for 2 years, just to kind of see what it was like. Thoreau thought that in order to live the fullest life, to really experience being alive, you have to do less. He writes, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and to see if I could learn what it had to teach. And if not, when I came to die, discover that I hadn't lived. I did not wish to live that which was not life. Living is so dear. Nor did I wish to practice resignation unless it was quite necessary. To not come to die and discover that you had not lived. That's part of the project of our religion and our faith movement, to live with intention, deliberately." Thoreau was a believer in simplicity, though I want to note that when Ralph Waldo Emerson read Walden, and he saw that Thoreau had written simplicity, 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 he supposedly responded one simplicity would have sufficed, which is a burn so sick it echoes through the centuries. But Thoreau also wrote that it saddened him. It was astonishing as well as sad. How many trivial affairs the wisest person thinks they must attend to in a day. That to simplify the problem of life, he said, you have to distinguish what's necessary and real, not just busy work. What really matters to you? As a hospital chaplain, I often heard dying people say that the things they thought were important when they were younger were not, and that they wished they'd been less busy. Overwhelmingly, that they wished they'd spent more time with the people they cared about. With Christmas just a week ago, I find myself thinking about how many presents we give to the people we love, trying to show them how much we love them, when often the best way to do that is to be there for them, even across distances. There is a lot of plastic in landfills as a testament to love. Now, I'm a sentimental person, and probably a full 30% of my possessions are things that people have given to me that I now can't throw out ever. And so I've come to think of Marie Kondo, the author of The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, as one of our great modern spiritual teachers, and that's not a joke. I mean it. Advocating, as she does, for the same idea that Thoreau does, that having less stuff in your life allows you more room to live life. She writes that truly precious memories will never vanish, even if you discard the objects associated with them. No matter how wonderful things used to be, we cannot live in the past, she says. The joy and excitement we feel here and now are more important. It was a revelation to me that space in my home, in my mind, in my email inbox, and in my heart, space has value. It is not mere emptiness. And that often the value of having extra space is greater than whatever we could be storing in that space or scheduling on our calendars. In a practical sense, having space in cabinets means that you can rearrange things and find things, yes. But in an emotional sense, I've had to work through my fear of not having the things I need, reckoning with the fact that having too many things that I don't need can also hurt and be a detriment. Having lived in poverty, I know firsthand that figuring out the line between the two is dicey if you don't know if you'll be able to pick up another bottle of DayQuil the next time you get sick. Admittedly, it becomes a lot easier if you have resources. Marie Kondo writes, life becomes far easier once you know things will still work out, even if you are lacking something. In a psychological sense, I find that once my safety is assured, beyond that, having fewer things means I have more thinking space. The truth is that in trying to simplify our lives, sometimes we create more stuff. More words, more work for ourselves, more stuff, more complications. If you've decluttered your house, you may have found that it sometimes just entails rearranging your clutter. If you have 700 things and you go out and buy 5 Rubbermaid bins to sort them into, now you have 705 things. And though they look more orderly and have been more condensed, they still exist within your domain, not just your physical domain, but your mental one. You're still responsible for their storage and upkeep. You have to figure out what to do with them if your house floods. You have space in your brain telling you where those things are you can recall. In other words, having less means doing less and thinking less. For me, when I used to go backpacking in the woods, I experienced a kind of spiritual clarity, knowing what was on my person at all times. Even in an emergency, I could just rule out possibilities quickly. Adding things can and does detract value from our lives. Sometimes. A team of researchers at the University of Virginia sought to study this, finding that when people need to make a change, they almost always choose adding things as a solution, either writing essays or improving a travel itinerary or making a pattern of colored squares. Any task they gave people to improve or make a change, nearly 100% of the time, people chose to add things. They either added words to the essay, added stops to the travel itinerary, or added colored squares to make the pattern even when it would have taken less effort to remove colored tiles to make the pattern even. They found that these additive solutions are what humans default to. People simply do not think of subtracting things to fix a problem. When it comes to improving objects, ideas, or situations, it just does not occur to us. And the researchers note that the implications are broad and profound. writing that defaulting to searches for additive changes may be one reason that people struggle to mitigate overburdened schedules, institutional red tape, and damaging effects to the planet. It seems that so often we could simply stop doing stuff and things will get better. And so the point of this sermon is to say, not that you need to do less right now, but to suggest that when you realize something in your life or your space or your mind needs to change, maybe remember that doing less might be an option for you. What if instead of adding more, you removed something from this problem? What if you stopped doing a task instead of trying to do it harder? Or said no to taking on another responsibility to do your current ones better? What if you removed a barrier instead of just working harder to get around it? What if you made space? What if you made time? What if you deserve those things? What if you lived deliberately and not, when you come to die, discover that you haven't really lived? Amen, and blessed be.
Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.